Hello, Dr 𝗃𝗍𝗄. Thank you very much for sharing a few minutes with us to tell us about what you came to tell to this beautiful event, the Quantum Matter International Conference. Welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
That's cool that you're here with us because we have a lot of questions for you. For instance, to start and make it easy, can you tell us in a few words, in easy words, what a quantum bit is and how it's different from bits that we used to?
Sure. Yeah, I think that's a core topic of this conference, certainly.
Sure.
But qubit is quantum bit. It is basically the element of information, right, for quantum computing. And it's effectively, quantum, how you actually manipulate quantum information for processing. It follows the laws of quantum mechanics, right? And so, that's where there's a lot of research in the entire world figuring out how to build these things. Right?
Yeah, you make it sound easy, but I'm sure it's not that easy. But, yesterday in your talk, you talked about some of the keywords were modularity, exponential.
Yeah.
So we have the feeling that you're breaking the mold of linear traditional research. No? How is it affecting your work at IBM?
I'd say that those concepts of modularity and exponential growth, right, are very core to how we want to progress. And a lot of that is as an industry where we have really parts of research as well as parts of engineering. It comes together in a way that allows us to be very sort of modular by combining different pieces that all fit together, and when you have that effect, you get this sort of exponential type of growth, right? And it's no different from semiconductor development in the past, where you have these different nodes that you tack on one after the other, and you're learning, and then as research feeds in, you really see that that blossoming of new technologies driving the entire field.
Yeah, and how do you make it happen so quickly? You talk sometimes about the good enough concept, no? Advancing learning from good enough advances. How do you struggle to make it exponential?
That's a really good point, right? One thing that certainly that we have really taken to heart is this idea of good enough, and building towards MVPs. Minimum viable products, right? We actually did this with our first cloud release of a quantum processor back in 2016. We just said, let's just get something out there into users' hands. And since that's been our philosophy, which is to continuously advance, but at the same time, really getting things out early and often so that people can see the progress and also know that we're going to continue to make progress and that we have a roadmap that we're targeting and really trying to be very true to that.
You're very, very focused, really. And how is it different from your times at Yale? Did your life change a lot when you entered IBM?
I'll say that the field was very different when I was at Yale at that time, and there was just such a groundswell of ideas at that time, in academia, driving new ideas, new concepts in this space of from where I was what I was learning about, which is superconducting qubits, and what I was researching in, and I think it's actually funny. Last night, I think we had a reunion dinner of all people who went through Yale.
Cool.
But just to show you, the impact of where things were then in terms of really kind of an academic mindset to now really, blossoming into both, still pieces in academia, but also a lot of industry involvement and driving this sort of, developmental engineering expertise as well.
So I guess the environment was optimistic in this dinner.
Very optimistic. I think,
Cool.
we're all, happy to be here.
And you're working to build a tool belt for academia, for industry, for providing tools to make that kind of advances. What are the main advances that you're doing at IBM to make academic and
that's a great question, right? I mean, a big part of what we do is meant to be not just to write papers ourselves at all, right? That's actually a fundamental shift in our philosophy ever since we have put things on the cloud, which is to open it up to others to really access the tools and use the tools. And a lot of that comes with having, for example, an open source platform for software development with 𝗀𝗃, and having different layers of that software stack designed in a way that different end users with different sets of expertise can approach it. Whether you're a quantum physicist to some types of chemistry engineer or something like that, that you have your way of actually getting in there and finding a way to at least learn about quantum, but over time really utilize it.
That's beautiful. Do you have any specific application or tool that you are fond of, that your favorite?
I think of course the promising applications of quantum computing are extremely exciting, especially in the potential for material synthesis and chemistry development. I'm certainly very excited about that front, right? But also from the standpoint of in the near term, as we are driving towards these systems that we're building that really push the envelope of what you could do classically, we want to see that connection, and I really want to see how those users start to develop applications, for example, in that kind of space of chemistry, but using the tools that we're building.
So I see there is a friendly competition, we might call, because we have here at the event the three big companies working to produce these quantum advances. How would you say that IBM is different from the rest of big companies? What are you doing that's such a difference?
I think it is a core philosophy of our mission really is this piece of being practical, right, and bringing useful quantum computing, and that comes in with how we are putting systems out there for access. Over 20 systems that are available. Very transparent roadmap with technological developments that we're targeting year after year to basically, herald our direction so that people can see where we're going, and so for the whole community to jump in together with us, right? So that's really a core philosophy.
So there is a philosophy of sharing, but you also have to do some training. We need to train this community. How do you approach that, building this expertise in the environment?
Yeah, I think training and educating the quantum, we'll call it workforce of the future is so important. A big part of that is open source, right? The open source tools, open source textbook in our Qiskit framework is available. We actually have this quantum challenge that's online right now that people can actually log on and be using our machines to test their ability.
Targeting all kind of users, young users.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we definitely have parts of our learning platform that we're trying to make accessible to even high school type students, right?
Great. Then talking about youngsters, what would be your advice for a young researcher that is willing to enter this wild land of quantum computing?
I would say, just don't be afraid of the word quantum, right? Especially now we're entering a phase where, like you mentioned it yourself, that it can be very broad in terms of the disciplines that come into this space. You don't need to be a physicist necessarily to be in the quantum computing world. You can be, a computer scientist. You can be a mathematician. You can be in all these different areas and find a path that will, drive you towards this really blossoming and growing field.
Great. So there is work to do. Yeah. One last question for you before we let you go back to the talks. You know that next year's event is going to take place in Donostia, and we've heard that there is something that you're working on in that beautiful city. Can you tell us something about it?
I'm very excited to hear about the fact that this will be in that area, right? Because we are planning a system out there, right? And we are really looking forward to having that deeper engagement of driving more research, driving industry, industry as well as in the local areas there to start being able to use and leverage quantum tools and sort of get into this phase of working towards finding utility, finding advantage with quantum systems.
So then we look forward to talking to you again in 1 year and see what's happened in Donostia. Thank you very much, Dr. Jerry Chow. And for those who are at home, please stay tuned for more videos and more interesting interviews like this one. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.